Welcome back to Seen It Before. We're probably going to say something stupid about your favorite movie because we've seen it all before. I'm Danny.
I'm Dan, and this week we're watching The Goonies. But first, before we get into all that, I usually say something about Danny here right before all this stuff. And
You compliment me. That'd be cool.
no, that's not gonna happen. So let's just say
You're going to rat me out?
yesterday, somebody at our work was watching the Succession finale, and somebody spoiled it for him.
Okay, yo. He sent me a meme. He sent me a TikTok, like, very much about the theme of the last episode of Succession. So I said, oh, he must have seen it. And
It was 10 in the morning on a Monday.
Yeah, it aired on Sunday.
Yeah.
He works nights.
That's
But he got weekends off. Yeah. Okay. I don't even think I said names or anything. So
How did you think I was going to throw you under the bus? Now I'm curious. You said, no, you're going to throw me under the bus? For what? I'll cut that out. All right. Anyway, so yeah, The Goonies. The 1985 classic by Richard Donner and written by Chris Columbus, the guy who did the Harry Potter movies. This is like one of his first things he ever did, I'm pretty sure. Mm-hmm. And man, what a script, first of all. Like, this is like a typical 80s movie. It's got that feel to it. It's got all the things you want out of, kind of the Breakfast Club type movie, or what's the name of that trilogy or whatever, right?
trilogy.
Not the Breakfast Club, 16 Candles.
Oh, the John Hughes stuff?
The John Hughes stuff.
Yeah.
It's got that John Hughes vibe to it, but also as an adventure.
Well, yeah, but it's not by John Hughes, which is ironic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's how much influence he had in the 80s.
Interesting.
And that's just something I literally just came up with. But anyway, yeah, so I was very excited to rewatch this. I haven't watched in probably 6-7 years roughly. So let's just get right into this.
So, like you said, this is like what? This is your how many times seeing it? Like
Probably second or third.
second or third?
I think it's a third.
This is my first time ever seeing it.
Yeah,
I knew
that's the
all
craziest
about
part.
it. I know like Goonies said, never say die, and like I knew like the hey you guys, like I knew all those like that stuff.
Yeah.
I knew what it was about. But I guess I didn't have any context for it until watching it this time.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, we start out with the bank robbery at first.
Yes, I was surprised. Like
You didn't expect that, did you?
weird opening.
Right.
He like one of the I think his name's I forgot his
The
name.
Fratellis.
Yeah, like the older brother Fratelli's like pretending to be dead, and like they break him out. It's super like schlocky, but
Yeah,
like,
I was like, he's like, oh,
it's like these
dude
police
hung himself.
these police suck. And then like there's no like other police presence throughout the entire movie, so I just love that too. Mm-hmm. But I noticed like, is that Cypher from The Matrix?
Which was the older Fratelli you're talking about?
The one with the the one who's like the snarky Italian guy, Joe Trepioli or something.
Oh, Robert Davi is the guy from Die Hard. He's in Die Hard. He's also in
not him. The guy who's in the car with the mom.
Oh god,
That's Cypher, I think. But he has hair, which is crazy. Hair and a beard. He's Ralph from The Sopranos. You seen that? Fuck, man.
No.
You gotta watch it. Anyway, he's like
I don't watch any of the
he's a
Italian
B
movies.
actor. He always plays like the rat character. Like in Matrix, he's the guy who like sells out the entire crew to the Agent Smith because he's like, I want to live in the Matrix and I want to forget all my memories and stuff.
Yes.
So, but yeah, I'm like, what the fuck? He's got hair, and because I just know him as a bald dude and like a really bastard, which is so he's good at playing a bastard, I guess.
Honestly.
But then the opening credits roll. And I'm like, talk about the Mount Rushmore of like family-friendly adventure movie making, like those people. Mm-hmm. You have Steven Spielberg, Richard Donner, and Chris Columbus, who are all known for this sort of thing, which I thought was crazy,
Chris Columbus, one of his first things I want to say. I didn't look into it, but I'm just gonna do it right now. This is one of the first things he did. Let's find out, because the story was also by Steven Spielberg, so he was.
Yeah,
I don't know if he was the main writer on it, but
I know. Well, he's obviously like an executive producer of some sort, because he's like Steven Spielberg Presents. It's kind of like the whole Tim Burton Presents type thing with like, because he didn't actually direct Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yes.
With some other guy, but everyone mistakes it for being and same thing with like, people theorize he directed Yeah, he directed Poltergeist when Toby Hooper's credited, but I don't really know the history behind that too much. But
this is not the first thing that Chris Columbus wrote. You want to know what it is?
What?
Or the second thing he wrote? Gremlins.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense. The year before.
That's also Spielberg, right?
Yes, he did executive produce.
Yeah, and then also another thing about this movie is that every kid that's the main-ish character in this is they're named actors. Like I know them from other things that are probably like I knew them before this.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. I mean, let's go through it. Like we got Sean Astin. He's been in Stranger Things, Lord of the Rings, which we just covered again.
It's sad that Lord of the Rings is his first, or I mean, Stranger Things is the first one that like everyone thinks of because like I know he's so much more iconic.
Yeah, Sam Gamgee is so much more iconic
than
at that
Bob
point.
From Stranger Things, but
Bob is a
he's
still, noble
he's
sacrifice.
great in pretty much anything. I knew him from I forgot what the movie was called, but I knew him for the first time from this shitty like time travel ish movie where like he tries to stop a bank heist or something and he's on a train. I found it the other day. I found it like on Tubi or whatever. So I'm like, I really want to watch that movie again. It came out like 2005 or whatever. That's where I saw him first.
Yeah,
and nobody knows. Like, I don't even know.
First thing I saw him from was probably Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
And then it was Goonies. But yeah, I didn't know it was him because he was a kid, so it looks a lot different. But yeah, let's go. Josh Brolin. We got Avengers.
Thanos himself.
Yeah, we got No Country for Old Men. Like he's been in so many things, and like he really became known as Thanos. And like, goddamn.
Yeah,
like, Ke Huy Quan from Indiana Jones, Everything Everywhere All at Once recently won Best Supporting Actor this year. Like
he obviously
Corey Feldman's in Lost Boys.
Yeah,
and Stand By Me.
Yep. There was who else?
Well, Jeff Cohen. He hasn't really done anything else. He's the one that played Chunk.
Everybody except him because he's a lawyer now.
Yes,
he left, and then Martha Plimpton I wanted to mention because she had a big TV career with like Raising Hope and now with the kind of Greg Garcia stuff. So
okay,
that's where I knew her from. Like, oh, she's nice. So I thought it was really cool that she's like in this, in the Goonies.
All right, so I mean, the first thing we really see after the credits roll, or we get to Mikey, Sean Astin's character's house, him and his brother Brand. So, who is Josh Brolin? Yeah,
dude loves working out. Like,
dude loves working out, and it's whatever typical brother relationship. My God, then Mouth shows up, and
Mouth
dude. The whole thing with the he can speak Spanish really well. That was crazy. I was like,
yeah,
dude,
so
you're like in
kind of
sixth
quirk
grade.
that like he just
I
didn't know how to speak Spanish.
It just
there's no other explanation.
No
like
explanation
is his
whatsoever.
dad Spanish because they show him being a plumber in the beginning. He just knows it.
He just knows Spanish, and he just totally
freaks the shit out of
the poor maid. And the mother is very absent-minded, as you can tell.
Yes,
she's.
Yeah. Well, I love there's like a little they knock over the. When Data comes in, they knock over the statue and they knock off David's cock or whatever. So they glue it on upside down and like.
That's a good little joke there. Like I didn't catch that obviously, but like this is really funny. Just like these little things in there they add.
The whole opening does a really good job of just like everybody has their own thing. I don't feel everybody is like each character is very defined as their own character, and I like everybody. I think the only one who's kind of weak is Data because like he's just the tech guy, and that always happens with the tech guys like in every movie. But he's got a little personality because Ke Huy Quan is like pretty good, and he's a good actor. So
yeah. But too bad he kind of quit acting sort of after this movie. I don't know how
it was after this one.
I don't know if it was after this one, but it was like in the late 80s he quit acting.
Yeah.
So it may have been a few movies after this, but
he was in a movie with Brendan Fraser at some point. Because like there was like a thing like, oh look, they both won Oscars the same year, and it's like a reunion or whatever.
Yeah, he was. I
don't know which one.
Let's look it up.
But the thing is, Stephen King had to have been inspired at least in some part with this movie, because like this, I looked it up.
Stephen King. Okay.
This Goonies came out in 85.
Yeah.
The book came out in 86. So I don't buy for a second. There has to be like because like clearly like Mouth is clearly Richie. Chunk is clearly Stanley with the Jewish. He's a Jewish guy, and he's always scared about everything. The new movie does take place in the 80s, so I mean, they could have just taken inspiration from Goonies. I'm not. Yeah. So, but I'm saying it's like the next year. So it's like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
Mikey's a mix of Bill and Eddie because Bill, he's the leader. Mikey's sort of the leader per se in this. And then Eddie is, oh, the TV's turning off. Eddie's like the hypochondriac one.
Yeah.
So Mikey's got all these different diseases with him and the asthma and and the braces and stuff. Who else? There's, I think, oh boy.
Chunk.
Brand is like Henry, the Henry the bully who's chasing after him, but he doesn't want to kill them, obviously, because the brother's just trying to get him back. So it's really interesting.
So
but
you bring up a good point, because like this movie has had a lasting impact on pop culture, especially nowadays with that Stranger Things, especially as well. Like you saw them riding their bikes and everything. That looked very similar. I'm pretty sure the music they're playing is also Stranger Things. So
probably
it sounded very similar. Or Stranger Things took it from Goonies because it sounds very similar. I'm just like, interesting.
Yeah. So it's like we have this kind of like, I guess it's like a hidden trope where like we have just a group of 4 or 5 boys, the 2 or 3 girls in the like just real small group of girls along with this group of like clearly close friends that are guys and stuff, and they have this weird adventure. That's just I can't really think of any that like 80s was definitely the era for that. So like what other like movies outside of the 80s did this? Like, I mean, it kind of just disappeared. Like I kind of want to see it come back, other than Stranger Things. I mean,
Breakfast Club did it to a point. That could just be a John Hughes thing. Again, shows how influential John Hughes is. But there's Harry Potter probably has something like that in there.
Chris Columbus. So there it is.
You got to think of all these other things like these.
Well, it's mostly J.K. Rowling came up, but yeah.
Well, like Chris Columbus helps.
Yeah,
characterize.
He fleshed it out.
All right, all of them gather at Mikey's house. They they find this treasure map in the attic. That is the buried treasure that they're trying to look for. That their dad had stored away up there. Brandon, Mikey's dad. Is that what it was? It was.
His dad's a museum curator.
Oh yeah, and they were supposed to take all the stuff.
Yeah,
and then Mike's like, "Oh, let's just do it. Let's steal this map and let's go look for the treasure that could be around."
They say it really briefly in the beginning. It was like this is like the last weekend they're all going to be together.
Yeah, they're all moving. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, like Mikey and Brand are leaving.
Mikey and Brand are leaving. I think.
Also, it's a weird thing. Mikey's adopted. Which does that ever come up anymore?
Sandlot's another one. Sorry, I just thought
that's the '90s one. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, what?
Mikey's adopted, so I don't feel like that comes up anywhere else. Like, does he feel like out of place?
I didn't even.
Or is that?
I didn't think about that.
Or is that just a thing? I might be wrong because Brand just says like you fucking adopted.
I think maybe it's just
probably just an insult or something. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean.
Yeah. So they're leaving.
Yeah.
So that's like I feel like they're like kind of the heart. At least Mikey's definitely the leader of the group. And then Brand's kind of like the older brother of everybody. So
it's the Steve Harrington.
Oh my God. Yeah, exactly. Dude, it's
crazy. So then they go and find the map leads to this abandoned restaurant. That's where the Fratellis are obviously hiding out.
Right. And
ironically.
I wrote a couple notes here because first of all, I like that shot of like them kind of carrying their bikes up the hill, and you got like the 3
when
rocks.
That music
in the
is still playing.
Yeah, it's real. It just looks really cool, and like it's like they went above and beyond for just that one shot. Like you didn't have to.
It's a very practical movie, and it just looks so good.
And then I said, "Oh my fucking God." Rise of Skywalker stole the fucking looking through the thing with the lining up the objects. I'm like, what the?
Yep.
And but okay. So the context of this movie, it's a stupid adventure movie. Who gives a shit? Because like the logics of it, you got to be in the exact right like location, looking through the thing.
Doesn't Indiana Jones do that too? Pretty sure.
I've only seen each Indiana Jones movie once.
Yeah,
so
I'm pretty sure Indiana Jones does that at one point.
Probably.
It's Spielberg. Makes a lot of sense.
Maybe it's just a Spielberg thing.
It's a Spielberg thing, probably.
But like, so it's, I'm like, oh my God, Rise of Skywalker, but it's even stupider in Rise of Skywalker because it's like an ancient knife that points to a certain point on the Death Star 2 that blew up like 30 years ago.
Yep.
Like how it's not ancient. Like,
I mean,
whatever.
Yeah, there's a point to taking inspiration from things, and then there's absolutely throwing it in the trash.
Yeah,
like Rise of Skywalker.
It's very clear they did, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, we love Rise of Skywalker, as you can probably tell.
Have you seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Well,
you saw the remake with me, right?
Yeah.
So when you got Chunk Mikey goes downstairs to see Sloth. when he's watching TV.
Yeah.
I'm like thinking, yo, this is like fucking Leatherface shit, because like that's exactly how it is, like at least in the remake.
And there's another thing with Stephen King that you were talking about too. That could be like a little.
Yeah, well, it's definitely got horror elements, but it's also played out like
so Stranger Things.
Like they literally find a dead body shot in the head in a freezer. You know,
there is that.
It's very horrific.
They all end up downstairs at one point, as you said. And
Chunk is able to escape.
Chunk escapes because they all went under the fireplace because they found out. They knocked over the water cooler while the Fratellis are gone, and the water drained under the fireplace. And like, oh, that's where we have to go. So they all went under there.
Keeps getting worse and worse for them. They got to keep going down.
But while we're there at this point, the killer's left, and Bran tries to stop Mikey from trying to dig up something at the lowest point or whatever. And Mikey ends up calling Bran Josh instead of Brand. Like
I remember. Yeah, I remember hearing about that. Yeah, and they just left it in.
I caught it. I was like, wait a minute. That's Josh Brolin. Wait a minute.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Yeah.
I love how they kind of left that in. Like it slips under the radar for sure, but like this time I caught it right away. I was like,
So that's like definitely like confirmed. Like they messed up on that.
It's not confirmed, but I'm pretty sure it's widely.
I'll have to go back and see what the subtitles say. Because it's like, is it like he clearly?
It said Josh. No, it said Josh. I was watching with subtitles.
Okay, yeah, then yeah.
Yeah.
Because everybody theorized that like when Luke in Star Wars, when he blows up the Death Star, he gets back and he's like, Leia and Han are there to greet him, like, oh, you did it, yay! And then everyone thinks that Luke says Carrie, like Carrie Fisher, instead of Leia, but like it doesn't exactly sound like it. It's just like, you know, it's kind of like he sounds like he's cheering a little bit, but not, you know. So that's debatable. So.
I don't really know. I mean, I never noticed that, honestly, but
yeah, I didn't notice until somebody pointed it out. But
that sounds about right.
Brand's also got some interesting apparel. He's wearing shorts, like biker shorts, over like sweatpants.
Hey, man, it's the 80s.
I feel like that's.
People wear like joggers with shorts over them nowadays too. So like, it's not too weird. It's a jock thing, I think. Or a jock thing, or like somebody who goes to the gym a lot, that type of thing. They're down in the gutters of, I guess, the land.
Oh, also, I forgot. Are you getting to the point with the pipes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, it's Troy who he's like taking a shit, right? You know, and then he's like, and then he screams "Daddy" when he yeah. So I'm like, he's never gonna use the toilet the same way.
That poor man is just traumatized.
I mean, it's kind of.
I would be too. I was like,
for what he did to Bran in the beginning, where he's like, he took him for a joyride and made him jump off a cliff with his little bike.
Yeah,
with the girly bike. Also, is that girl's never going to get her bike back?
No. Oh, and here's a little side story. My sister's going to hate me for saying this, but so she used to be terrified of foxes coming out of the toilet.
Oh,
I don't know what the whole thing. I don't know. I guess she didn't like foxes, but like when she was a kid, she used to be afraid a fox was going to come up out of the toilet or something like that. I was like, what? It's very weird. I don't know.
Well, I gotta
like not going to the bathroom ever again. I mean, that's where my mind went.
I was scared for a while that somebody was gonna reach their hand up the toilet after I saw Austin Powers.
Someone's taking your poop.
No.
Going down in the tunnels, the pipes. We're there. They're banging on the pipes trying to get help or whatever, and it just does not work. Then at this point, the Fratellis is coming back, and Chunk is still in the freezer. No, Chunk escaped.
No, he's with he escapes, and then he gets he went
through the forest.
There's the people who Fratellis are going to kill everybody, and he's talking to the brother. It's like, oh, yeah.
It's like.
I'm like, haven't you ever heard of Stranger Danger?
Nope.
He's the reason for it.
Dude, it's the 80s. The 80s, man.
Yeah, but you could never make this movie today because that's like instant red flag. Like a little kid going up to a random person in a car. No fucking way.
Yep, not anymore. No more.
Yeah, but then, so while they're in the pipes and stuff, Chunk has his own kind of storyline the whole movie where he's captured by the Fratellis and he's just unloading. He's just trauma dumping on them. And I'm like, this is so fucking awesome.
It was so funny because some of the names he used, I think was like Evie or whatever, or Max or something. Those were like his sister's name and his uncle's name.
Yeah.
It's just kind of funny. He's like, and he was imagining his mother dying, I'm pretty sure. I was like, yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it.
Yeah, they're just, what the fuck fuck is this kid talking about?
And this kid just kept going, and there's like,
okay, where are your friends? It's just like having a fucking episode.
I forgot exactly how they ended up finding out they went into the tunnels.
I don't know.
Okay, well,
it all kind of blurs
so
for me.
The Fratellis end up going into the tunnels as well. Then there's all these booby traps that the other kids are going through, trying to find their way to the treasure.
And they actually find that it's a gold doubloon, you know. So they figure it out, like, oh, there's actual treasure here. So then now it becomes like a race to find the treasure.
Yeah, there's all these little trials they have to go through, like, you know, an organ of bones that the floor starts falling through at one point, and they get to the last try, and they eventually, you know, make it past. The Fratellis are coming after them, coming up this little slippery cliff, like, you know, how caverns and like how the stalactites and everything are, you know, it's very similar to that. So you're trying to climb up one of those, like a little hill.
Stalactites are the
stalagmites.
Well, stalactites and stalagmites. Which one? One of them's the top, one of them's the bottom. I don't know.
Bro, I don't know.
Yeah.
Mites makes me think of floor, so that makes me think bottom because dust mites. So I'm saying I'm gonna say tights.
Tights. You know.
I'm probably wrong.
Tights and mites. Stalactites.
I was right.
Yeah.
Our producer. Yeah, he got it.
Thank you, fact checker.
All right, so moving ahead, they get out to this big open area with a big pirate ship. Practical pirate ship, by the way. Completely practical.
I remember hearing something about that. It was like the largest set at the time or something.
Yeah, it was completely filmed on the ship and everything, like all the scenes with them. It actually then offered to anybody who wanted to take the ship home with them, and no one wanted it, so they destroyed it, which is unfortunate because that thing is beautiful.
Why would nobody want that?
Where are you gonna fucking put it? Where are you gonna fucking put it?
I mean, you make bank after this movie. Right?
I mean, yeah, maybe not at first though. Like, I don't know how successful it was. You know, I'm gonna look it up.
I assume it was a hit.
I'm sure it was. So here we go.
Spielberg was on a fucking roll in the 80s and 90s.
19 million to make this movie. That's it.
It's pretty big back then, though.
Total worldwide, it made 64 million. Not as much as you'd think. So maybe that's
triple its budget though. So,
excuse me.
Jesus.
Yeah. So. Opening weekend, it only made 9 million. Let's compare it. Okay, I mean, we can't really compare it to like other ones. Let's compare it to
you can adjust for inflation and stuff.
Let's compare it to E.T. because that's around the same time. So look at E.T.'s opening weekend numbers and everything. So it was 10.5 to make that, and opening weekend it already made back its budget minus promotions. So worldwide, it made $792 million in.
Oh, so Goonies was not a box office.
Goonies was not a box office.
Crazy.
I mean, E.T. obviously is a generational movie, but like...
Yeah, but I've heard only good things about the Goonies, so it's just kind of crazy that it's
crazy. I mean, maybe it came out at the wrong time.
Back to the Future came out the same year. I bet you that...
This came out on June 7th of 1985.
Yeah, Back to the Future was like summer 1985, so I bet you that took most of the box office.
I think this came out before Back to the Future, though, so that's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. But still, it's crazy to think.
Movies in theaters for a while, too. They were like almost a year.
So you could consider the Goonies a kind of like a cult classic at this point. Like,
probably, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about.
Yeah, I never thought about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Richard Donner, he was known for Superman. So maybe people just thought, kids, pirates, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Superman 3, I think, came out in 83, I want to say. So this may have been his movie right after that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Superman 3, that's the one with Richard Pryor, right?
I've only seen the first
Superman, right?
I've only seen the first one, actually.
Oh.
I saw Superman 1, Returns, and Man of Steel. Those are the only ones I've seen.
I skipped Returns. I didn't even want anything to do with that.
It wasn't as bad as everybody makes it out to be. I never hated it, so... I
mean, from what I hear, Kevin Spacey is really cringy in it as Lex Luthor.
Again,
and like
it's been 10 years at least since I've seen it, so...
So there's a decent amount of talk of like God and stuff and like sort of like an undertone of religion and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm wondering what that kind of means, because like there's this really weird kind of out of nowhere scene for me at least where like Mouth is like, this is my wish, it didn't come true, I'm taking it back. So he's kind of pissed at God, I guess. But like,
I mean, I don't know if that's necessarily the point they're trying to make there, but it's just kind of like,
I wonder what his whole deal is, because it's like if for me it came out on like just left field, where he's like, you know, they're at the bottom of the well.
It's just questioning like how people think like using a wishing well is going to make things happen for them. Maybe it's just like a commentary on that. I don't know if there's anything deeper to it than that, because it's a PG movie. So like,
I mean, maybe it's like a subtle way of being like, you know, showing naivety.
You need to work for things because they had to work to find this treasure. Maybe it's not something, things aren't just handed to you like that. Maybe it's that kind of thinking rationale. It makes sense.
Yeah. Also, so at the end, there's a kind of like Deus Ex Machina-ish, but it's also built up as a different storyline with Chunk and Sloth.
Yeah, we hadn't even talked about them. So Chunk and Sloth also, like the Fratellis, before they left to go find the gang, they tied up Chunk with Sloth.
Watching cartoons together.
Yeah, watching cartoons. They hit it off real nice with a Baby Ruth bar.
Yeah, which is also another cool thing because it's like they, you know, Chunk's kind of, I guess, for lack of a better term, the outcast and inside the group, and then Sloth obviously is the outcast. Yeah. So like, they come together and be friends.
Yeah, they're friends, and like, I mean, poor Sloth was just never taken care of by his parents. You know, he dropped on his head multiple times. I only dropped you once. She's sure about that? Yeah. So yeah, now we're at the end. They're all just the Fratellis kind of capture them on the ship, and they're like, walk the plank, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Classic.
Classic
pirate ship.
What's the main girl's name?
Andy,
yeah. She ends up getting pushed off, and Brand goes and rescues her. You know, the romance continues.
I just thought it was interesting because like Mikey's also trying to hit on her a little bit.
That was so funny. So because she, at one point we skipped right past this. Like, she had a message for Brand, and then Mikey's like, he's taking a piss. I'll go see what she wants, whatever. And then she ends up kissing Mikey. It was yeah. It's just like, that's
another funny scene is we skipped it, but I thought it was fucking hilarious when, like, I guess, when the pipes break or whatever, it hits the Fratellis, and then the guy was the Joe, whatever his name, I forgot his Cypher. He is like, watch your hair, and he takes off his wig.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so he is bald. I fucking knew it.
Yep.
It's ridiculous.
Very funny. So back on the pirate ship. Yeah, they basically, Sloth comes out of nowhere with Chunk and rides down the sail of the ship and basically rescues all the kids, tries to protect them as like the bigger older brother, kind of like Steve Harrington type, but basically everything, it culminates obviously very nicely. They all escape. The Fratellis end up, you know, in the water behind them. The police were called at one point. That's right. I forgot.
So then they get rescued at the end by the police.
Chunk, because he likes to prank call crank call, whatever you want to call it. The police station, kind of like The Simpsons. Bart Simpson. I think that was before The Simpsons. Maybe The Simpsons took it from that. I don't know.
Simpsons was 89, so I can see it.
Could have been. Yeah. Never know. So
a lot of undertones though, because a lot of influence this movie.
A lot of influences, so the kids are reunited with their families, which are all the real families of the actors' families too. So which is
that's awesome.
It's really cool. Yeah, they're all reunited with them. The Fratellis end up coming out a little later and are arrested. Chunk protects Sloth. He's like, he had nothing to do with it, all this stuff, and he's like, he's a good guy.
Nice heartwarming story.
Nice little heartwarming stuff.
They went on an adventure for one last ride, and
there possibly might be a second Goonies coming out. They keep talking about it with the original cast.
Oof.
And 2027 it has on IMDb right now. So, but there's nothing obviously in the works because of the writer's strike, and maybe they still need to like work out some kinks and everything. It's just,
I don't want that.
We don't really need it.
It was way too late. I mean,
not necessarily. They could just make it for a new generation, like Stranger Things did for all this stuff. Like, it's just kind of in the vein of that. Maybe.
I don't know, man. I want to stop seeing all these good franchises be dragged on, because we know it's not going to capture exactly like as big of an as how this first one is. It's not going to be as big. It's not going to be as genuine. You know what I mean? Like even if you get a little bit of like a boost of nostalgia, like Force Awakens, right? That's soured eventually. You know, it's not gonna stand on its own. So just tell a new story. You know, like
you say that we try to write stuff all the time, and it's just like
I got some ideas.
I got some ideas, but like you're obviously taking inspiration from other things. It's hard to be a writer,
right? What I'm saying is though, it's like don't just like because it's the backwards. You're not taking influence from the Goonies and making something new. You're just
rebooting.
You're making the Goonies how you imagine it would be because you have such a standard idea of it.
What if Chris Columbus writes it again?
I mean, I feel better about it. I can't imagine it's you know, it's been so long.
Or Chris Columbus and somebody new that's been writing, or like and have like Andy Muschietti direct it or something. That would be a great fit, I think, honestly. But
you got the kid parts right in it.
He did. He really did. At least the first one.
It's like they did it with Bill and Ted, where it's like you have these, you know, first one's classic, second one almost as good, third one now it's their daughters. Like, you know what I mean? It's like it's so transparent that it's so blatant that it's like, this is a cash grab. I didn't have a story.
Obviously, it would be a cash grab, but it's something for the actors too, because they all thought this was a special movie too, but it didn't do as well as
if they, you know, like if they have a good idea, and it's not just not the first one again, you know, and it's a different type of story, and they have new themes and stuff with the same characters that I already like. That would be acceptable, but don't just do the same story with new characters.
Obviously, it's very early in development. So, like, who knows what's even going on with it, if it's even going to happen. But it's an idea Sean Astin's probably trying to get it done for years. That's all I really got in the Goonies. I mean, unless you have anything else to add there.
Not really. I mean, like, if I'm going to, like, critically think about this, it's like, I think there's, I can't really see where, like, because there's clear, like, setups for, like, the themes of God and deeper themes that could be explored. There's the kind of a little bit of the talk about the country club, you know, doing bad business and stuff. It's sort of, they feel like little wrenches thrown in the story, just maybe to make the town more believable or something. But I don't really see where it comes full circle. Maybe I'm missing something, but you know. But this is a great, fun movie, fun ride, you know, and it's a classic adventure movie for kids, all family entertainment. So I'm going to give it a straight 82.
82. Yeah, it's a good feel-good movie. It's got so much influence over modern pop culture. It's for the resurgence of, like, you know, the hipsters and all that stuff, and, you know, the Stranger Things crowd, which we are very much a part of. 11 over there. So
I got that one in Vermont, I think.
Oh. Yeah. I wish we had, you know, good old Ash there for the last time.
Yeah, I got it right after we did the Evil Dead Rise one.
It's so unfortunate. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I'm going to give it probably an 83. I'm sticking around what you had. I think it's a little better than what you give it credit for. It's a solid feel-good movie. You can watch it anytime. Just put it on the background. It's a good movie. We're Seen It Before. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok with the handle @SeenItBeforecast. That's SCENE It Beforecast. And on Twitter with the handle SIB_pod. I'm Dan.
I'm Danny. You can find me on Instagram at Danny_Was, my letterbox and serialized at DJ Was, or my YouTube channel, which is just Danny Was.
Next week, we got a big episode coming at you. We got the most guests we ever had on the podcast.
Yep.
And definitely all of them familiar faces except for one. But yes, not into the Spider-Verse, across the Spider-Verse, we get to finally get the sequel, and we had more Spider-Man news the other week. Spider-Man 2's trailer came out. It's just
a gameplay trailer.
Dude, it looks so good.
Yeah.
I really hope like they do the Harry Venom thing, because they said Harry is dying in the gameplay. I was like, interesting. How are they going to make Venom come out with this?
Interesting. Well, yeah. I want to know how Peter gets it. Also, it's going to be really interesting to see Miles witness the kind of
switching between them is gonna be so dope.
That's gonna be great.
I'm so excited. And then Across the Spider-Verse. So we have lots of theory. I have lots of theories on this movie that I really hope that this movie ends in live action, because I really will be so excited if they do that.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, have you not heard that theory? Like it would possibly end with I don't know what circumstances or whatever, but yeah, they end up in another reality.
I see. I don't want to get my hopes up too high.
I don't either, but
because
like,
there was like crazy rumors going around with No Way Home, and a lot of them were answered. Don't get me wrong; like they did give us roughly what we wanted.
yeah, I'm not getting
There was a few things that I was like, "There's no way," and I'm like, I got a little excited for it, and I got a little tiny bit disappointed when that came out. So I don't want to get my hopes up too high.
I know.
Right now. I'm just gonna expect it's just another like balls to the wall. All the Spider-Verses in animation.
The Spot's very dimensionally warped type of things. He's got these little things he can. I'm very excited to see what the Spot is going to do in this movie.
Yeah, well, I don't know him too much from the comics, but he is in like 1 or 2 episodes of the animated series from the 90s, and like I thought he was a really interesting character because he's just a scientist and he falls in love with Wilson Fisk's I guess lab assistant or his lab assistant or something.
Yeah,
and then he becomes like a vigilante against he's against everybody. He's a rogue.
All right, well, we're getting ahead of ourselves here, so let's not go too deep into this. So yeah, for now we're gonna leave it there. We got four guests next week.
4 guests,
including excluding us. So we got 6 total people. We gotta get some more space on the set. Like we don't have enough space here, so we're gonna still iron that out. What we're gonna do, yeah. And but yeah, it's gonna be fun. Hope you can join us for that. And until then, we'll see you next time.